number 25. It starts off easy, okay? It's just the square root of 75 divided by the square root of 3. You can divide those. Okay, what is 75 divided by 3?
Wait, hang on.
25. So this one, we don't have to move the square root like I showed you a second ago on that bell ringer one. But it's just that simple. You can tell 75 divided by 3 is 25. Does anybody know the square root of 25? 5. So that answer
This is like number 25.
this is 25. Yeah.
So it's just square root of 5.
Mhm.
Oh, no, it's just 5.
So on number 28, let's see, 6x divided by 3x. Does anybody know what they would get on that one?
2.
The square root of 2. And you can't simplify it anymore.
Why would you get the square root?
Okay, if I was to do the square root
Because
of
you're getting the square root.
6x
Oh, 'cause
divided
you
by
can't go any further.
3x. Yeah. So it's basically, yeah. Huh?
Would it be 2 or the square root of 2?
Well, watch.
Who did that?
That wasn't the answer.
Get your phone, though, and turn it off. If it happens again, I'm going to send you to the principal's office. As long as you didn't do it as a... Now, this one is just 6x divided by 3x. This is another way you can think of it, okay? If you want to put it together like that, you can. What is 6? Don't forget you have this root. What is 6 divided by 3? 2. What happens to your x's? Yeah, they cancel out because you have one in the numerator, one in the denominator. So it is just the square root of 2.
Well, why wasn't that one the square root of 5?
Because, okay, I could rewrite that one as 75 divided by 3. Hold on. What is 75 divided by 3? 25. Don't forget your square root. Can you take the square root of 25? What is it? That's what happened to your square root. You took it. You took the square root of 25 and it's 5. Huh? I cannot take the square root of 2, therefore I must leave the square root on the 2, on that one. Okay?
It's cold here.
Somebody was just saying how hot it was.
It is.
Okay.
So the answer 28 is square root of 2?
Yes, 28. Now, y'all try 26 real quick. It's just like 28. You can divide. Actually, I'm thinking this whole section, this whole section right here, you can actually divide them this way. So try 26. Here's what it looks like. Were you not here?
She left halfway through class.
But you should have gotten...
I'm like,
Yeah,
No, this is what we got today.
I don't have it. Okay, I'm going to write it.
I thought we had to take one.
I'm going to write it down. You have to apply
Is that right?
63 xy to the third. And then down here under the root, I have a 7y. So I'm going to just divide it. Okay, if you want to, you can write this step. If you don't want to, you don't have to write this step. Okay, that might make things worse. But what is, so I'm going to write my square root. What is 63 divided by 7? It is 9. Okay, now I have an x in the numerator, so I must still have my what? My x. Now I need to see how many y's I had. 3 minus 1 is how many? 2. When you're dividing, don't forget that you subtract those exponents. Do we remember that rule? Okay. So 3 minus 1, that's how we got the y squared. Now, that's not your answer. I can take the square root of 2 of those things. What is the square root of 9? 3. What is the square root of y squared? Y. And what's left over? And that is still in our root, our square root. That is your answer. A lot of people were saying 3yx, the square root of 3yx, like 3yx squared, lots of things. That is the only answer.
Yeah, I didn't either.
No, that's fine. Now I want y'all to try 27. Okay, and I'll go over that one in a second. Any of them that I'm writing, make sure you're writing so that you get credit for this. Those that sleep through class, it's due today. If you don't turn it in, I'm giving you a 0. Sarah, Kate, just write down these 3. And then if you can find your sheet where you started, bring it to me.
Probably in my room.
That's fine. Just bring it to me next class.
There's some up there.
I wish I had another one. I'll look and see. So y'all are trying, this is 27. I'm sorry, you need to see that, don't you? So, okay. There's 27. Okay, so several of y'all are getting it and some are not, so let's just start going through it.
I got to the end.
I'm just going to write all of it under here. 54 x to the 5th, y to the 3rd, and then I have 2x squared y. So on these I can divide, so that's what I'm doing. We'll get to problems, I think, later where you probably can't divide, and that's what I did at the beginning of class. Anyway, what is 54 divided by 2? I think everybody got that. It's 27. And everybody remembers subtracting exponents. What's 5 minus 2? 3. And what's 3 minus 1? Y squared. So is everybody to that point? Now, it's a square root. So I'm looking over there at my squares on my board. And I can tell that 27 can be divided by 9. That's 9 times 3, right? Then I'm going to write my x's in terms of 2's. X squared, and then there's an x, and then I have a y squared. Is everybody good with that? Now, okay, hold on.
Yeah, I got this and this side.
Now you just take your roots that you can, leave the ones you can't. That's all it is. So, are we ready? What is the square root of 9? 3. Okay, mark it out as you get to it. Look, I'll put my root. I have to leave my other 3 though, right? So I'll mark it out. How many x squares do I have?
1.
So I'll just write my 1x, mark that one out.
And then you have to leave that x.
Well, or you could just say 2 divided by 2 is just 1. But you can say I just have 1x squared in there. So it's x to the 1. I have to leave my x, mark that out. How many y?
And then you have 1 y. So it's going to be 3xy, the square root of 3x.
Yeah. Okay, what was it, Tyler?
How do you know what to put in front of the
Square root?
yes, Mom?
If you take the square root of something, it goes out front. Like, what is the square root of 9?
Okay.
3. So
Well,
it
how did
now
you know to
comes
put that?
out of the square root.
How did you know to put the X and the Y out front?
Okay, because I haven't put the y out there yet. But I had to leave that 3 because I didn't take the square root of it. I can take the square root of x squared. It's x.
Okay.
So that's why I put that x there. I can't take that one. I had to leave it under. I can take the square root of y squared. The square root of y squared is just y.
Yes, sir.
Because the square and the square root cancel each other out. That's why. Okay, so that's my answer for that one. Let's do another one. Which one do y'all want to try? How about let me see if number 30.
I knew you were going to say that one.
Hold on.
That's what I was working on. My back is just on fire. It's itching to that.
You can do number 30. Try that one. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. You can still do number 30.
Can we put it up there?
Yeah. It's a 4th root.
Yeah, what are we calculating?
You're looking in terms of 4. Let me pause it. I think we're kind of ready. Okay. So on this one, number 30, I'll write it all together. They get, 243 k to the 3rd divided by 3k to the 7th. And 243 divided by 3, y'all got 81, right? But then I had 4 k's in the bottom. Do y'all understand that? If there were 3 up top and 7 in the bottom had how many more?
4.
4. That's why there's 4 in the bottom.
K4 at the bottom. I did that
Okay.
thing that you did earlier.
Otherwise, another way to write it would be 81k to the negative 4th. If you did 3 minus 7, what is that? A negative 4. What happens with a negative exponent? Where does it have to go? That's what that says, okay? Another way to have looked at it would have been to say, I have 3 k's in the top, and I have 7 k's in the bottom.
That's what I meant.
How many more k's do I have in the bottom? 4. That's exactly what I put here. I have 4 k's in the bottom. I can take the fourth root of both of those things. What is the fourth root of 81? 3. That's in my numerator. What is the fourth root of k to the fourth? The 4's cancel out, so it's just k.
Okay.
That one was weird, but that's why. I mean, I know that's very weird.
Wait, so your answer is just 3 over k?
3 over k,
That's
huh?
the fourth root, so you do
Fourth
Okay,
root.
so I'm at the part where you cancel the k's out.
Mhm.
and you scroll
So
down
then I
to the
got
fifth one.
81
And you see how it looks like ours.
Over.
k
And you just
for
put
1.
80.
Yeah, there's 4 k's, but they're in the denominator, so I had to write them down here.
Okay, now what do you do?
The fourth root of 81 is 3. You can use that with your calculator, or you can do that on the board. Look on the board. What's the fourth root of 81? 3. And then the fourth root of k to the fourth is k. Y'all, please don't forget that. Anytime, if I take the square root of x squared, it's x. If I take the cube root of x to the cube, it's x. Anytime they match, they cancel out. That's kind of what we've been doing. All right? Anytime your roots and your exponents match, they cancel out. All right. Let's keep going. If we flip this page over, I haven't started our review yet, but this is probably all we're going to do today, is just go through this, review, and then I'll let you take your quiz.
Yeah, that's all.
On this one, we're on the back. I want you to notice on number 34, can you divide these? Can you? No. See how the difference is? Like on that first side, we were like, oh yeah, I can divide 75 by 3. I could just tell that I could divide those. This I cannot divide. So you have to get rid of that root in the denominator. The only way to do it is to multiply by it. Okay? So I'm going to multiply by the square root of 5. All right? What do I get in my denominator? That's the easy part. 5. It's just, that's the whole point. Got rid of the square root.
Multiply by.
So the next one will be 5y.
The square root of 5y. Can we do anything with that? Does 5 have a perfect square? Or does y have a perfect square? No. That's your answer on that one. Okay?
So square root of 5 times square root of 5 is 5.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because 25 is square root of 5. 25 is 5. So then you multiply those. That's it.
Yeah, this is it.
It's not going to be that easy on all of them, is it?
Number 37, it looks different, but it is the exact same thing.
Number who?
Number 37, they have the square root of 9x divided by the square root of 2. Do y'all see how mine's written? Oh, let me show Sarah Kate. This is how they write 37, the square root of 9x over 2. You can also write it like this, the square root of 9x over the square root of 2, because you can split your square root up. Okay?
You want us to do 37?
Yeah, do y'all want to try this one first before I do it?
Yeah.
Okay, try. If you don't get it, don't worry. I'm going to go over it. And don't forget, you're getting credit for doing these. Okay, what I'm going to do, I split mine up. I wrote my square root in my numerator, my square root in the denominator. I'm going to multiply by that square root of 2 because I know I can't divide evenly. You could go ahead and take the square root of that 9 if you wanted to and leave the 2x underneath. But you don't have to do that. We'll just do square root of 18x.
Okay.
And what's the square root of 2 times the square root of 2? 2. It's just 2.
And then 9 times 2 is
Now this one, yeah, I'm back to this square root of 9 times 2.
Wait, why did you do 9
X.
times 2?
I'm still trying
Why
to
can't
figure
you
out
just
where
put
you get the
9?
others too.
Yeah, why can't you just put 9?
Because it's not even square.
Okay, yeah, because 18 is not equal to 9. 18 is equal to 9 times 2.
Okay.
I thought you could just reduce it right there, but I guess not.
Oh, no. Yeah, you cannot reduce what's under a square root and what's not. No.
Well, I thought the whole thing was under square root.
No, this is no longer under a square root. Remember, that's the whole point. We got that out of the square root. It's not under the square root. What is the square root of 9?
3.
3. And then I have a 2x left under here and a 2 down here. 3 and 2 cannot be reduced. That's why you leave that. What's under the root is its own thing. You can't do anything with it.
Wait, I'm confused.
I would have done that from the beginning. But I can see better than you. Like, I would have said, oh, the square root of 9 is 3. And then I'd have a 2x underneath there.
Where'd you? I'm still trying to figure out.
Okay,
where you got the
so-
hard
Okay, wait. Okay, it's
pencil.
2 questions at one time. That is 2 questions at one time. All right. Jesse Kate, you were asking a second ago.
The
So,
square root, so you did the square root of 9, that's 3. And then you kept your 2x.
and I kept my 2x. Yeah.
And just brought it.
Yeah. Or I wrote the 18 if you wanted to work it out that way and then go backwards again.
Where'd you get the 2 on the top from?
This one?
No.
This one.
Yes.
If I multiply by the square root of 2 down here, I must also do that up there. Because otherwise it's not balanced. All I did was I multiplied by 1. Anything over itself is 1. That's why you can do that. So if I multiply down here, I had to do it in the numerator as
So
well.
what'd you multiply up top?
Square root of 2 times the square root of 9x. What's 2 times 9? 18.
18.
Square root of 18x.
Okay.
My square roots went away down here. Let's do another.
What number was that?
That one was 37. Now we will do 35. Do y'all want to just do this one together?
Yes.
Okay, looking at 35. The square root of 18x
Can
squared
you give me a minute to write it?
y, yeah, I'm writing it up here too, divided by the square root of 2y to the third. And that is a 2y to the third. If y'all can't tell, that's kind of running together.
Yeah, that's crappy.
Okay, now I'm going, are we ready? I'm going to multiply by what's in my denominator.
2.
Well, let's see. Or
Multiply and divide.
I was going to multiply it out, but can you divide it?
Yes.
No, it's not.
Would y'all rather just go ahead and divide it? Okay, then let's do that. On this one, do we see why 9 can't be divided by 2?
Yes.
So you multiply.
Because you get decimals. So we had to move it a different way. This one, can you divide 18 by 2?
Yes.
Yes. So what is 18 divided by 2? 9. I have x squared up top. And where's my y going to be?
The bottom. Why?
Y squared in the
Because it's
Why
gonna
would
be
you
negative.
bottom. Huh?
Why would you put it down
Because
there?
there's 2 more Y's.
Because there's 2 more y's in the bottom than there are up top.
Okay.
Okay?
There's
Or
only-
what's 1 minus 3? What's 1 minus 3? And if I have a negative 2 exponent, it must be moved. So there it is. It was moved back to the bottom.
How many Y's you have.
Okay? Either way, y'all, it all goes back to, I mean, you can do this several ways. Now, I can take the square root of all that.
Oh, so it's just 3x.
What is the square root of 9?
3.
3. What's the square root of x squared?
X.
And then down here, what's the square root of y squared?
Y.
So it's just
There you go, 3x over y.
Square root of 9.
It looked like a big mess, but I could
So
reduce
you
that.
3, and then you got 3x gives you the square root of that.
Mhm.
The x squared. How'd you get x?
How did I get x? The square root of x squared. Remember, your squares and your square roots cancel out. So I just left with x. Square and square root of my y canceled out, so I'm left with my y. Okay, I'm going to move on. I'll take those up in a little bit to this quiz review. If you need more of a type of problem, just say, can you do another one like that? Okay, and I will. So, for the quiz review, there's only 11
What
questions.
lessons? Is this just the first and second lesson?
It's just the first and second lesson. It's just these roots. Now, this goes back to the first type of problem you learned. It says find all the real square roots
I don't even know.
of negative 9 over 16. Now, let me ask you this.
No root because you can't take a negative of a square.
Very good. And it's the same exact one on your quiz. Can you take the square root of a negative?
You can
No.
take a cubed root.
Yeah, but not a square root. So what is this answer?
No.
No real root. Does everybody understand that?
Root or root?
Root. No real root.
Is it just like that on the quiz?
Mhm.
So
So
they
if it's
tell me-
Because they have a negative. They said, I'll make sure it's on both of them. What are all the square roots, the real roots, what are all the real
Root.
square roots of a negative number on your quiz? Yeah. I'm making sure they're all that way. And it's a negative number. And you would say, no real roots. Okay? Then, number 2 is really nice, because guess what you can do that one on? Your calculator. But you should be able to tell it's something similar to 12. What's the square root of 1.44? It's 1.2. That would be my answer.
So we
Yours
just take the square
on
root
number
of that?
2 on your quiz, you can also take the square root of it. Number 3,
We go to the
and now the numbers changed a little bit though, okay? On number 3,
we go to math
now
and go
you
to
have
our
to
calculator.
divide this one up into 2 separate parts. I'm going to take
Yeah.
the cubed root of what number first? 125, which I could even look on the board.
No,
And it's negative
supposed to
5.
be negative.
Yeah, it's
Like,
kind of
if you say
obvious.
125, but the answer is just gonna be negative.
And then what's the cube root of 343? 7. So it's negative 5 over 7. Yeah. You can in your calculator? Yeah. So some of them you can do in your calculator. Just be careful. Be very careful sometimes on that. Okay. Number 4. I wanted to see.
Number 4.
Okay. What is the square root of 36?
The thing you said you weren't gonna make.
6
Yeah.
G
Okay, 6 g to the third. And anytime,
Wait, why? Oh, because you just divide 36.
yeah, well, what is the square root of 36?
6.
So I can tell it's either one of these. Forget about the absolute value bars, y'all. Don't even look. Then g to the 6. What is the square root of g to the 6? It's basically 6 divided by 2, which is what? 3. So you can tell. The reason, I just hinted to y'all, the reason the absolute value bars are there is because I have an even root, and an odd exponent.
Wait,
They're going to
so
do that.
On the quiz to get G to the third, would you just do like the number divided by 2?
Basically, yeah, that's the shortcut that I told you you could use. Or
So
you
is
can
that how it
say,
is on the
or you
quiz?
can say, hold on, I have how many G's? 2, 4, 6. Okay? How many
Oh,
G's?
you're just gonna have 3.
I would have 6g to the third. That's another way. And they just put it in absolute value, but that's the reason is because it's an odd exponent after you've done an even root. But you can tell without even knowing that about the absolute value, right? Because that's the only one with the third. It's very similar to that one on your quiz. Okay, some of these are exactly the same, even.
So
Not
that one's
all of
gonna
them.
be-
Now this one, think, what's the cubed root of 125? It's on the board or on your calculator. It's 5. Okay, I know it's
So
either
it's gonna be D
this one or this
because
one.
If you write out X, the X 9 times it's gonna only be 3.
And now your shortcut is to divide it. What's 9 divided by 3?
I know it could be B.
3. What's 24 divided by 3? 8. This one, I would take either answer, whichever one you put.
Wait, but why?
But it would technically be B.
But
Yeah.
technically, so you could just write that out how you did the.
Actually, I think it's B.
Like
I think it's B because it's an odd root.
And then you only have 3
But
of
let
them.
me see
Okay.
what they put.
It's an odd root.
I mean, it'd be
X.
X.
Don't
So it'd be X to the 3, and then you write out
Wow.
that's 24 Y's. That's a lot.
Let me find it.
Then for that, you could just do 24 divided by 30, right? Gives you 8.
Yeah.
Do I even see it?
It looks like D to me. Okay.
What number is that one?
5.
It's B.
Oh.
It's because it matters when it's an even root with an odd exponent. Odd root doesn't matter. It can be positive or
So if
negative.
it's
Remember,
even-
on an odd root, it doesn't matter if it's negative or positive. Only on an even root.
So you're gonna
So
take
this
it.
one's never going to have absolute value
You're
bars.
gonna take either one if somebody does that?
No, I won't. But I want you to understand, like, I'm just explaining that. If you put either one, I'd be fine. Okay? Then number 6. Square root of 15 times the square root of 5. Multiply. What do you get? What is 15 times 5?
75.
So let me write that down. So I have the square root of 75. And then I know, what's my perfect square that goes into that?
25.
25 times 3. What is the square root of 25?
5.
And I have a 3 left underneath. Do I need to explain that again?
Wait, can you
can
go
you
back to the
up
problem?
Yeah.
Yeah, I never saw
It was just the square root of 15 times 5. Times the square root of 5.
Okay, and then you do what times what equal to
So I got
square.
square root of 75 when I multiplied those two numbers. Then I said, okay, now I need to simplify that. Y'all look, this answer's on there. But is it simplified? No. There is a number, a square root on the board that goes into it, okay? So yours is going to be similar. They're going to have the square root of something on there, but it's not simplified. You're going to know, I need to simplify on number 6. I need to simplify it. Okay.
So you did that, so you did 25 times 3, and then how'd you get the 5?
Okay, if you had 25 times 3, what's the square root of 25?
Oh, 5.
And then I have my square root of 3 left over. Okay? On this one, a cubed root of 40. Look over there on our cubed roots. What number is a cubed root that goes into 40?
8.
Yeah, 8 times what?
2. I don't know.
5. 8 times 5 is 40. Does everybody agree with that? Now I'm going to write these. I would do a to the 15th times a, but I won't. I'll write them all out. A to the 3rd, that's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16, 3, 6, 9. I would just make them to where they were divisible by 3, but that's okay. So, what is the cubed root of 8? 2. That goes on the outside. I know it's one of these. Okay, and then I have my 5 is left underneath, right?
Yeah.
How many a to the 3rds do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And you put your
5 of those.
and you put the A.
And I put my other a in here. You can already tell the answer, right? And then I have
to the 3rd.
b to the 3rd, okay? So that's already your first 7 problems on your quiz. There's 11, okay?
So it would be
So your answer is
A.
A. Because it has a 5 and an A underneath, okay? Just take it step by step on there. I think I said there was one that's not on here. I can't remember. No. Okay. On this one,
We can't see it.
oh, a cubed root of 5x to the 8th times the cubed root of 8x to the 7th. Making sure those are. I just multiply. So it's the cubed root of 40. And how many x's do I have? 15. That's great because it's divisible.
Did you add those?
8 plus 7. Yeah. 8 plus 7 was 15. The cube root of 40, again, that's going to be 8 times 5. Cube root, I'll write 8 times 5. You could write all these in sets of 3. I would just do, what's 15? Look, your shortcut. What's 15 divided by 3? X to the 5th. So you could just tell. But I'll write them all out. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. We'll tell there's 5 of them, okay? So what's the cube root of 8?
2.
Okay, and then I said I had 5 of those x's. And what's left over underneath?
Just 5.
There you go. That's your answer. I think y'all are kind of getting the hang of this. It's the same thing over and over again, right?
Yeah.
The next one, this one's going to give us a big number. If it does, I might need to write some more
Why
perfect
is it
squares.
separate? Why is the answer separate?
Where?
On A it says you're multiplying them.
Oh, it is just like multiplication. It's this times this. It's like saying 2x to the 5th is the same thing as 2 times x to the 5th. It's just the way they write it. It's the same thing. Are you okay with that? Yeah? But that's your answer. I mean, can y'all tell that that's what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. It's just an understood multiplication there. Number 9. Those don't have perfect squares in them, so I'm going to have to what? Multiply them, okay? And I can tell, y'all look, what number, I have a 7 and a 9 and another 7, right? So I can kind of tell
That's 7.
that it might be like 49 or 9, or some of those might be my perfect square. If you don't know it, that's fine. So I'm going to multiply them, and I get the square root of, what is
82.
what is it?
882.
882. I'm betting that's not a perfect square. And then how many x's do I have? 6. And how many y's? 11. Now, the square root of 882, divide that by 49.
Wait, what?
But the only reason I thought that is because I have 7s in here. What's 882
You
divided?
multiplied 63 and 14 and got 882.
882 divided by what? 49.
18.
Okay, there's also a 9 in there. Okay, does everybody know that? Because of the 18. So we need to go up, let me write some perfect squares on the board real quick for y'all that are higher.
Wait, why'd you give about 49?
Because I could tell that 7 goes into 63 and 7 goes into 14. 7 times 7 is
Why can't we just
49.
do 7 and 18?
because 18 has still a perfect square in it of 9. So that's not a big enough perfect square. I'm 300, okay? Which you can tell what times what is 300. 103, okay? 100 times 3. Let me say it that way. For the 882, y'all, it's going to be, what's 221 squared? 441. It's 441, y'all might not have known that one, times 2, okay? Because the square root of 441 is 21. I know y'all don't know that, just, you could figure that on your calculator. And then I have 2, 4, 6 x's and how many y's? 2,
So you
4,
just tell them the square
6,
root of
8,
82.
10, and one more. Well, I knew it was 441 times 2. Yours is not that hard on the test. Yours is going to be 3 times 100. You know that one, right? You know the square root of 100 is what? Oh, no. Okay, good. We are okay. Now, the square root of 441 is 21. And I still have my 2 underneath. Now, I would just say, what's 6 divided by 2?
3.
There's 3 of those. Or you can count, there's 1, 2, 3 of those. How many y's are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or I would have done 10 divided by 2 is 5. And I still have 1 left over. Anyway, that's your answer for that one. Again, yours is easier. Okay, it's smaller numbers. Way smaller. Let's look at number 10. On this one, you can divide. On your quiz, you can divide. Okay? What is 40 divided by 5? Square root of 8. And then my x's, what's 16 minus 1? 15. And yours is that way too. It's going to be in the numerator like that. Okay? Now, how do I take the square root of 8x and to the 15th? What number goes into 8? 4. Yeah, so 4 times 2. And then I would write those. I would actually write x to the 14th and an x. But y'all want me to just write them all out? Okay. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and one more. Okay, so what's the square root of 4? Okay, and I have a 2 left over. How many of those do I have? 7? Because I would have done 14 divided by 2, and it was 7. Is anybody seeing the shortcut?
Yeah.
Okay, if you can see the shortcut, you should use that. And then there's 1x left over. That's your answer, okay? And then there's one more. There's 11 on the quiz. What I may do is like a freebie or something. Like if you miss one, then it's just a freebie. I don't know about bonus. Let's just see. Number 11. Can you divide on this one? No. So you have to multiply by the square root of 3x to the 6, y to the 7th. Right? We have to multiply by that entire denominator. So the denominator part is easy. I know what goes down here. 3x to the 6, y to the 7th. All right? Now up here, the square root of 21, how many x's? 18.
Oh, crap.
How many y's? 19. Okay, now stop. You just combine them. How many x's do I have and how many y's do I have? 7 times 3 was 21.
Okay, and then you subtract them like this.
But how do you
No, well, okay, if they're under my square root, I have to simplify that square root. Is there anything that goes into 21 that's a perfect square?
No.
Oh,
No, there's not. If I look over there, 4, 9, 16, none of those go into 21. But my x's and my y's, can I square root some of those out?
then you do 12 plus 7, right? For the not y's.
Hold on, what?
Where you get Will from, Code?
Oh, up here. She's up here. 12 plus 7 is 19. Yeah. So, I'm just going to rewrite this. I know my 21's going to stay. Y'all, it's so much easier if you would just take 18 divided by 2 is how many?
I don't like it.
9. So you know you're going to have 9 x's pulled out. Okay, but I'll just write them all. 2, 4,
You're gonna
6,
have 9 Y's.
8, 10, and 1 left over. 12, 14, 16, 18. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 1 more. Okay. And then down here I have 3x, 6y, 7. Now how many of those can I pull out? I already know there's 9 x's. X to the 9th. How many y's? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But I have 1 left over. And then down here.
3x.
So is that my answer or do I simplify
Because
it?
it goes up.
Yeah. Now.
Where's 21 go?
Oh, I'm so sorry. That should have gone under there. 21y. Thank you. The 21 does belong under there. Now, I'm getting ahead of myself. What can I do with those x's and y's that are outside? I can subtract them. So, what's 9 minus 6? What's 9 minus 7?
2 square root of 21.
And then I'll write everything else down. Look, I got rid of those x's and y's. I simplified
What's
them.
the answer?
And that's your answer.
Wait, so you did 9 minus 3.
Okay, can we hurry and
Or
get
no,
this so I don't forget?
you did 1 minus, wait.
Yeah, for real.
And y'all have like 20 minutes to do this, but Miss Christie's coming in like the last 5. But I think you'll be fine. Okay,
Wait, so you did 9 minus 3.